there, and welcome back to Scrap with Penny, where paper meets story. And today I am going to share some planning information, and it's in regards to my working on 2021. And you can see that I've got several dog stories, and I want to tackle all of these dog stories kind of together and maybe be a little more efficient that way. And I had 2 subscribers request dog content for October, but I let them know I probably wouldn't be able to fit it into October, but it's because I have like this big overarching kind of project, and I thought that I could, slot it for November. So what we're going to do is, this is the page planning part, and then hopefully there will be some process videos that follow up to this where these pages actually get done. So let me set this to the side. And what you see on my desk now is this Bella Blvd Bow Wow collection. And y'all, I love it. I've made 2, maybe 3 layouts with it already, and I just love the colors. And then what you see right here is the stash purge of my dog paper bin. Now, this is, I'm not going to unpack this because I have a video that shows these kit contents. And so for 2021, the photos that I'm working on are of Truman with Sophie. All of these papers are in kind of the boy dog color palette. So I'm going to save these for any pictures that I have just of Truman. So we're not going to use this, and we're going to play with this. Now, I have a screen recording of selecting the photos and how I go about that. So I'm going to pause right now and cut away to that, where you can see how I decide on the photos.
And today I've got a little page planning session for you on some dog pages. So if you've not seen a page planning video before, I do have another one that I'll link in the video playlist. Now, what I want to start with first is my Trello. This is the 2021 stories I have to tell, and you can see I'm down to just 9 left to document and get on paper. And so right here, this is my Philadelphia at the time kids picking up Gateau the puppy, and so I've got pictures identified for that, and I feel like it's a double page. And then I've got Truman and Sophie together. Now Sophie was a pup and Truman was just like maybe 8 at the time, I think. And Truman would end up crossing the Rainbow Bridge a year after we got Sophie. And so it's really sweet to me, these pictures of them with her as a energetic pup and him looking at me like, "Mom, what have you done to me?" I was a happily content only child. And so I've got a folder for this. And then I have this real cute bluebonnet shoot of Sophie as a puppy. And I've got some notes here. It's also going to be a double page. Use 624 PageMaps and C note. And so I've got a note over here with information about these pages. And then I've got another layout that's potentially dog material. And it's my Philadelphia kids back at home with, their puppy Gateau. And then finally, they came back to get a second pup in September. So this was in March. That's what this 3 means. And this 9 means it's a September story. So you can see why I want to do some page planning and get some of these pup pictures out of the way. Okay, so then let me go back to my big view. And let me start right here. So I bought the Scrapbook and Cards Today online class by Virginia Neville called Pages for Paws. And there was a period where they were donating part of the proceeds to pet care. I'm not sure if they're still doing any donation, but I do know this class is still for sale, and I'll link it in the video description. And I just wanted you to see, Virginia took basically a collection and she gives you the cuts for it and the page design. And so you can totally just lift her pages. Now, I'm not going to lift her pages because number one, I couldn't really share that with you or show you. And number two, I need more doubles than what she shows. So I'm going to use her layouts as kind of an impetus or a starting point for mine from a standpoint of the title and embellishments. But I feel like my pages will end up pretty differently. So in this note also, let me go ahead and close it out because I don't want to reveal anything I shouldn't. In that note also, I have images of these 6 cut files that I picked up from Peartree, and I just went into the website and put in dog, and I got these really cute options. So these will parlay into the revisions I'm going to do, or the spin-off I'm going to do to the Virginia layouts, and they'll be my titles. Now, the reason why I went looking at Peartree is because I didn't buy the Bella Blvd cut file pack that they sold with this kit. And I'll go over in the desktop portion what I did get on the kit, but I thought these would be a good substitute for me rather than trying to get that Bella Blvd kit here and also having to back it manually. So I can close this. And then I want to talk about this. This is me going out to Pinterest. I wanted some double page map ideas, and you know, there's one double page a month, and it takes a long time to flip through all of the different monthly options to see the doubles. So I just went to PageMaps, and I hit PageMaps, double page sketches, and I got all kinds of options. So I just wanted to point out that if you're looking for page map double pages, this would be a good choice for you. This one right here, the sketches on Tuesday, it takes you to this link, and this blog post is dated November 2014. But y'all, I went from December 2014 all the way back through every page map that's on their website, and I never found this. So I'm sharing this because this is the only kind of design credit I can give to PageMaps. It does say PageMaps, and I just can't figure out. There are some years out there where the content is grayed out and maybe they archive that, but I just wanted to point out how I found this and the source. And then I want to show you that while this is the one I saw, there is one from October 2024 that is very much the same design, and I found that interesting. So you can see the photo arrangement is identical, and there's 3 strips here and 1 strip here. There's 1 strip here and 3 strips here. So, and I have noticed this before, that some of these designs get recycled, and there's not anything wrong with that. I just thought that this would be a great way to let you see the sketch without having to go to that blog, you know, the sketch more or less. I kind of like this older version better, but I'll look at both as I go through my work. And so this is what I'm thinking for a page map for one of the doubles. Now, where's that 624? Okay, this is the page maps for 624 that I was thinking could work for Sophie in the Bluebonnet shoot. And so those photos are right here. And I just made a little folder of all the ones that I plan on printing, and there's 7 photos. And if I go back to my sketch, there's 2, 4, 6. I could do like a larger one over here maybe, and the cut file, and then do a grid over here of the 6. And I thought this one, if I take it back to its original format, that would be a really nice focus picture. So I'm not certain on that, but I wanted you to see that I had pictures identified, and this is what I'll use for the blue bonnets. Now, I also have some folders for the pictures of Truman and Sophie. And this is a lot, and it's hard for me to cut any of these out, but at the same time, I don't want to do 2 pages. But look at this. He was so patient with her. She's literally pawing his face saying, "Play with me." And here, she can't get up on the couch. To this day, she can't jump. He could jump, and he used it as his refuge and his escape. And he's looking at her like, "Why are you bothering me?" And here, she was so little she could squeeze out the fence, and she would run up and down the fence, and he would run and chase her. And then here, she's kind of patting at him or pawing at him, and he's coming back at her. And then she's on him, and then they're laying down. This was work from home time, and my office chair's right here. And so they're both watching me work. And then she's tired, but she's like guarding watch over him, and he's looking at me like, "Mom, what is the deal? How can I get out of this?" So this is right before, and she looks so innocent, and then she's like, "I'm gonna get him." And then he's on high alert here, and she's like ready to pounce. And then just the 2 sweet little pictures of them looking at me, and then they're taking naps looking at one another. So some really cute pictures there. And the last set of pictures that I have pulled are just pictures of Sophie and Coco. And there's, it's 45 pictures. I don't know which of these will make it onto a layout or not, but look at this little Coco bean. She's so sweet, little pudgy, wrinkly puppy. And this one is funny. She's literally got a piece of paper stuck on her mouth, and she doesn't care. She's a silly little girl. And then here they are. "Mom, get us off the bed." I love my dogs. We have had dogs almost nonstop since we got married. We've had a Cocker Spaniel. We've had a Dachshund. We had a Yorkie. We found a Basset Hound and fostered it for a little bit, but we didn't end up keeping that. And then after my Yorkie is when I got my Westie Truman, and then now I've got the Frenchies. So I'm a dog mom. I'm unapologetically a dog mom. I was going to look over here and see if there were if I had done any work on Philadelphia and the dogs, but I don't see that I have. So then, kind of to take you back to 2021 as a whole, I sort out my years by quarter. And so Trello said, Philly at home, farm several dates, dog heavy. So then if I go to my photos and I go to June, because that had a 6 on it, then I can come here and I can hit my favorites. Okay, and so see here we've got this one, this one. So this one is funny. Jen's actually sitting in his bed. And this is how, oh, this is sweet. This is how I find pictures I want to scrap. Okay, so what I can show you how I make a folder. So this would be the start of the folder for that. And there may not be a ton of pictures. Like not every layout has to have a ton of pictures. So I highlighted that first one. And on a Mac, I'm going to hit the Command key. And I'm going to click on, oh, this one's Andrew with him sleeping on him, taking a nap. So I'm just looking. So then I'm going to say add to new album. And it's going to take it a little bit to think, but it's going to appear right up here. Okay. And so then going back, if I want to look in later parts of 21, because my notes said to farm several dates, I can go here to the previous quarter and I can look for favorites and see if I've got any of them there. And no, it starts, this is where they pick him up, and that's going to be a different layout. And so then let me hop over to July and go to favorites. And you can see these are some of the topics that I've already scrapped. So this is September. This is them coming down to get Maggie. So let me go up to the top. Oh, here's another one. So if I identify another one, I can do right click, add to, and I don't see my other album. Oh, the name didn't take. Okay. Here it is. Sorry about that. And then we're back to them coming down to get Maggie, and I'll make that its own layout. So that's enough on the photos. And I talked about this. I talked about this and this. I had pulled this as a potential double page spread. I really like it. And so it's just kind of here. This might be one I could use when they come down to get Maggie. So it's kind of like when I'm looking for a double page layout, if I need more than one, I'll kind of hunt at one time. So that's just a little insight into how I page plan and how I look for my photos and how I can create little folders where I can easily go back and print. And so now my next step will be deciding which layout I want to start on first and getting the pictures printed out. And I'm fairly certain the one I'm going to start with is Sophie and the Bluebonnets. And that's just going back. So it would be this item right here that I would be working on. And here's my sketch. So the only thing I would debate is, do I want 4x4 photos? And my pictures would come, if I did that, my pictures would come all the way over. 4 times 3 is 12. And then they would come up another inch and down another inch. And I wouldn't have a problem with that. How many pictures did I have? I have 7. Then I would have, if I'm going to do a 4x6, I think I should stay with 3x3s. And I think that'll be a good representation, good enough representation. So I'm going to print these at, I don't know if I'll print them right at 3x3 or if I'll do 2.87 square, so that if they were matted, they would be 3x3. And for this exercise, with all this margin, it wouldn't matter either way. It's just me thinking about, if I have a 6-inch tall photo over here, what would my total margin be? So if I could do a double mat, and then I could do 3x3 photos. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'll do 3x3 photos and do a little thin mat behind them, and then I'll do my 4x6. And if I need to do a double mat to get my heights consistent, I'll do that. So then that means this circle element will slide over, and then I'll have room down here for journal strips and for my title. Now, on the title, which one do I want to use? I'm probably going to go with this one, As Cute as a Button. And the reason being, it better fits the space I would have for it. So like this title would be maybe like the width of the page, but I'm not going to have this photo. So I would have a good space here, but it's more top to bottom on the space and not side to side. And the doggone cute is also a possibility. Okay, so I think that I've gone over the planning enough, and now I'll cut to the actual paper and talking through that.
Okay, so I actually have more photos printing than what I walked you through on the screen recording, but I mean, that's okay. I like to show you a little bit of just how my mind works, and probably nobody needs to see all of it. I will say real quick that the 2 subscribers that requested the dog stories were Sheila Brawning and Gavin's mom 98. So thanks to both of you for giving me input on content. I'm always open to input on content. So the other thing I want to say before I get started is that it was always my dream to have 2 dogs, and I just think, you know, dogs like having other dogs, and so Steve had always said no, 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 and then we got Sophie, and then you know, Truman got cancer. So then Sophie was so depressed, and we ended up getting her a little sister, and we went with a second Frenchie. And it's so sweet how they love each other and play together. And so these projects are going to kind of span the time of Truman with Sophie, Sophie alone, and then Sophie with Coco. And there's some really cute Coco puppy pics coming your way. So I did want to mention also that I picked up the Bella Blvd collection that marries with the pattern paper collection. So we'll be working with this. I'm not going to flip through this collection right now. I think, you know, this is a great representation. But what I am going to do is get out 3 sheets that I picked up from the Meow line. And this was the suggestion of a friend and subscriber, Sarah, and these are perfect. Sarah has a little girl Frenchie, and these papers work great. They work for both cats and dogs. In other words, these are paw prints and flowers, and I love the bright colors. So I'm going to supplement the Bow Wow with these sheets of Meow. And I have the ephemera icons and the ephemera words. And so let's dive into pictures I printed and sketches I've pulled. And I want to decide on paper. Now, what I said in the screen recording is that the Virginia Neville Scrapbook and Cards Today Pause for a Cause class is kind of an inspiration or a starting point for this. And because I'm going to do process videos, I'm not going to emulate her. I'm not going to make her pages on camera because that invalidates paid class content. And there are a couple where I am going to do her page, and I won't do process videos for those. But here we go. So the first layout that I have is pictures of the girls, and yes, we got them a stroller. So Frenchies are, I'm not going to say this right, brachycephalus, and because their face is so smushed, they have a hard time breathing. And in the heat, if it's warmer than about 72 degrees, Sophie really struggles to breathe. And so the flip side of that is they love it outside and they love to walk. So I told Steve this year I wanted to get him a stroller, and bless that man, he didn't even bat an eye. In fact, I just sent him the link for him to look at it, and then he replied and said ordered. So, you know, he loves his girls just as much as I do. So I've got these 6 photos, and I'm going to use this sketch. So what I'll do is I'll increase this, and then I'll trim my pictures, and I'll do 3 and 3. And I've got a cut file planned for this. I shared in the screen recording that I went out to Peartree Cutfiles and looked with the word dog to see what they had. And so the cut file that I'm going to use for this, I'll pop it into the frame right now, is Spoiled Rotten. And I'll actually use this for one of my Peartree layouts for design work. And I think it'll probably post on November 10th. Then the second So that was kind of current day pictures. Now the second layout that I have planned is this double, and this is, I went over this in the screen recording, and these are all the pictures of Truman and Sophie together, and she's a pup, and I'm going to use this double layout. I've got this one enlargement here, so right here I'll do a 4x6, and then I'll do 2 photos here, and then otherwise my page will look like this. And I say in the screen recording that I saw this image on Google and I cannot find a month to attribute it to on PageMaps, and it was posted on a blog in 2014. So that's the plan for this one, and I'll need several pieces of paper for it, and it'll be a double. Then I've got my sweet Sophie in the blue bonnets. She was a puppy here, and so we did a puppy shoot. My friend Sheila was a dog photographer when she lived in Dallas, and when she moved, she did not re-establish that business in her new state. But I've got these photos, and I did a 5x7, and these are, those others were 3x3, but these are 3.5 by 3.5. The ones of Truman and Sophie together were 3x3s. So I'll do kind of the same, I'm going to do a different pattern paper, but I'm going to do a same photo arrangement as the last one, and then I'm going to do a grid over here and a larger photo here, and then I don't know if I'll have 2 squares over here. We'll have to just see how that plays out when we trim them and get them on the paper. But I want to show you how this paper is just perfect for those blue bonnets. Now I only have one sheet of this, so I can't do the big gingham, and you wouldn't want to do that much blue with that much blue in the photos, but this would be a real sweet strip up here at the top. So I'm gonna commandeer this piece of paper to this. Then I've got, this is a layout that is inspired by the class, but I'll do my own interpretation of it. And I've got these sweet little pictures of the girls just lounging in the sun. They're also cold-natured, so it's kind of odd that they are, but they love to lay in the sun. So I thought this would be fun. So I'll just do a vertical strip, and I'll probably do like a carve out of some paper here. And full disclosure, I have 2 sets of the Bow Wow, and I bought it because there aren't that many collections out there that are geared toward girl dogs, and the age of my dogs, 3 and 5, I mean, I'll have dog stories to tell for a long time. Okay, and so then look at these sweet babies. I think on this one I envision using a Peartree cut file over here in this area that's paw prints. Okay, so on this one, here's the sketch. And these are no, they're 3.75 square. They're slightly less than 4. And I have a cut file for this called Live, Love, Woof. But I could put that one on the other one and put the paw prints here. So I don't know. I just have several cut files that I kind of want to work into the mix. And this is another vertical band. And this has a square. I don't know what I would do with that. I don't know if I would just do a stitch or do a piece of paper inset. I'm not sure. But I liked the sketch. Then the next layout that I have is 2 little pictures of Coco, and I found this sketch. And it's funny because on the PageMaps site it didn't have the year, so I typed that up so we would all know the year. Mainly so that when I do the video description on this process video, I don't have to go back and hunt for when it was. So I'll trim these up. These are 3x4s. And I think they'll make a cute little photo block right here. And for this one, I have a cut file called Doggone Cute. So when I was looking for the pictures, I wanted pictures where she looks super cute as a puppy. I love the little wrinkles. Okay, and the next two are pages that I'm going to do that are basic following the class content. And so they both have horizontal bands, and so I pulled this what I call burner cardstock that I'll use. And y'all, this is why I call it burner cardstock, because it's got that gray tinge to it, and also it's not a true 12 by 12. So these two I probably will not do process videos for, because I'm just going to do a lift of her design, and maybe I'll show the finished layout at the end. But this is my little Sophie girl, and then this is our son and his wife with their puppy Gâteau. Gâteau means cake in French, and she's a pastry chef. And Gâteau and Sophie are litter mates. So I am going to use a cut file for this called Positively Adorable, little puppy pics. And then on this one of Sophie, I'm going to use the cut file As Cute as a Button. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to get some paper out, and we're going to match paper to pictures. Okay, so I decided, instead of picking the paper for the two layouts that I was really going to kind of copy paste, that I should work on the paper for these 6 layouts that I don't know. And I want to show you the sticker sheet, and I bring it up mainly because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 good scallop patterns, and I could use these on a double page spread if I wanted, because I have 2 of these. I bought 2 complete collections. So I just wanted to kind of throw this out there and also keep it in my vision so I can remember it. And kind of where I'll start is, I know I want this paper for the blue bonnets. So I'm going to slide it under here. I'm just going to stay with this one. So then we need a nice complementary gingham kind of pattern, and then a small stripe. I'm wondering about this stripe. There's also this one. There's also this pattern in the way of a stripe. I think this is too busy for a background, and if I do a kind of gingham background, this won't work up against it, but I did want to show you this. And then here's the dog version of that bold stripe, and then compared to the cat. I'm thinking about going with this yellow. This is the only gingham in the collection, and in the Bow Wow collection, I mean in the Bella Blvd's collection, the ginghams are green and brown and red, and I don't think those will work as well. Okay, but I do like this idea. And then we need a fun stripe that will marry them together. I'm going to go for the smaller scale stripe, okay? So we have our papers for this one. And for this top, I can use, I could use this one. No and no, but this would work. Okay, so one down, a bunch to go. The next one, let's do, this is a nice vertical band that really just calls for 2 pieces of paper. So I think on this one, what I want to do is do an inset. So I'm going to do a pattern paper border on the outside. I'm going to use these multicolored paw prints. And then for this band, I'm going to use 1 piece of paper, and I'm going to use this teal dot. Okay, 2 down, 4 to go. Let's go to the stroller. Okay, so for this one, I just need a good vertical band, and I'm thinking again that I want to use a pattern paper for the outside, and one of Virginia's class samples used this as a background. So I'm thinking if I do this like this, it'll represent outdoors and pull in the color of their tongues and their harnesses. So we're going to go with this for here. And then let's come over to this guy. I need a lot of papers for this, and it can be more of the darker colors, I guess, because it's Truman and Sophie. Okay, so this calls for a small dot, and these pictures of the two of them, which I know are out of frame, they're a mix of inside and out, but there's a lot of brown. And so I'm thinking for my background for the dot, bringing in this teal from the Bella Blvd. And then for my print down here at the top and bottom, I think I want to pull in these words and get a lot of color. And then for my stripe, I'm going to go with the masculine Bow Wow version of the stripe. And then I'm going to pull this heart paper as a reminder to myself to bring in some red in either the banners, or I could substitute one of the stripes for a strip of hearts. So I'm not going to pull papers for these banners. I'll probably do this one based off of scraps and what kind of works as I've got the pictures laid out. So I think that starting with 4 colors for this, or 4 papers for this, will be good. Okay, so now let's come up here to this one. And there's a paper I've been seeing a lot while I pulled for these other pages, and it's this floral. And they're outside, and I think it's so cute. And so to go with this, there's a little stripe here. Instead of doing a traditional stripe, I could do a little strip of this grass, and that would be so neat to tie into this. And then I also pulled this cloud paper because it's outside. So I don't know if I would want to do another strip. That's a lot of white space for me, but I've got 3 papers for this. And then that just leaves Coco. And I've got so much paper left. Now this sketch calls for 3 pieces of paper, including a stripe. And so I haven't got to use this fun stripe yet, and this is all little girl. So I'm going to go with this big stripe. And then for this larger piece of paper, am I in frame? Not really. Let me pull this over. Sorry. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. So I'm going to use this large stripe, and then I'm going to come up against it with this little plaid, and then for an accent color I can bring in this pink dot. And so that'll be my papers for Coco. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to stack these up. We're going to do the last 2, and then we'll look at them all together. Okay, so I got a little boy here, and I've got a lot of this brown paw print, and so I'm going to have to work it in, and I think this is a good candidate for it. So we're going to put this on the bottom half over here, and then for the top, I've got really 3 choices. I've got this dot, which I don't think works, and then this larger dot, and I think that's pretty plain. And then I can bring in this multicolor, and I think that's what it needs. The other multicolor in this collection is the floral, and I can't do that for a little boy. There's also this. I don't think so. I don't know. So the way this page is laid out is that the photos are on the bottom, and then there's a little scene on top, which is pretty cute, and then the title, which will be my cut file, will span the gap. So I'm going to put both of these texts with this brown, and when I go to do this page, I'll decide. So that's what we've got here. Okay, and so then we've got Sophie left, and this is another, it's a similar design in that it's a block of paper or a horizontal band here and a horizontal band here. And the design calls for using the yellow gingham at the bottom and a multicolor at the top. But I have this little pink hearts that were part of the cat line. And then also I had these little paw prints that could go up top. So I'm kind of thinking for this layout, I could just cut this piece of paper and on the top use the paws, and then on the bottom use the pink hearts. So I'm going to bundle this up together so I know kind of what I was thinking. And that'll be my papers for Sophie Girl. Okay, so we can look at them all together now. Okay, so I've got this one, this double of Sophie spread out, and look how the grass and the bluebonnets are going to pop off of this yellow. So I love that choice. And then we pulled in this smaller stripe. Then I've got this little periwinkle floral strip for the top, and here's my sketch. And then I said for this top scallop that I could come to this sticker strip, and I've got two of these, so I could use two of those. So that would give me a little dot in a different color, and I think that this page is going to be so cute. I don't know if I'll have a cut file for it or not. I'll have to map that out next. I'm not going to do that on this film because I'll need to be able to see it, and I don't want to cut them until I know where they're going. Sorry. So this one is planned. Okay, so here's the one of Truman and Sophie together, and this is one of the 2021 layouts that I want to work on and get done. And so I decided for my background, I would use this aqua dot. And then for my stripe, I would lean into the masculine colors of the dog line. I'm not setting this up very well. And I would pull in this text, this multicolored text for these strips at the top and bottom. And then I wanted to pull in the heart paper for at least one of the banners. I did want to show you, there's this element strip, is that what you would call it? There's this piece of paper that could be brought into play for one of the top or the bottom borders. So if I didn't want to repeat the same stripe, and bearing in mind I've got two sheets of this, oh, this little yellow dot is nice, or it's orange, and that's in the stripe. So, and bonus, it's at the top, so if I took it off of both sheets of paper, I wouldn't be tearing up the other side. So I'm gonna keep this with it. So this one is planned out. I'm sure when the layouts get made that photo mats will appear and all kinds of cute little embellishments. But for me, how I start planning all of my pages is, what story do I want to tell? What photos do I need to support it? What is a sketch that can support the number of photos I have? And then what papers will meld with the story, the pictures, and the sketch. So that's kind of how my brain works. So then the next one, I have the girls laying in the grass, and you know, they're looking this way, so my pictures have to go over here. And I would be kind of more inclined to put the paper where my pictures weren't. I don't know. But we decided that we could use this little grass print as a stripe to ground, kind of come like this. I don't know. When it comes time to do it, I don't know if I'll put it down like this or not. And then we also pulled in this cloud paper I don't know that it'll actually make the cut. You could put it on the far side of this sketch. Am I in frame? You can put it on that side if you wanted, just for some outdoorsy theming. So this one wasn't too hard to pull together. And so the next page I had was using this sketch, and it's the 6 pictures of them in the stroller, and I'll trim these down, crop them real tight, and then I'll do 2 rows of 3 here. And it's the page I said I wanted to do this paper as a border, so it'll kind of go behind. And then I've got this vertical band, and I thought I would use the pink dot. And when it comes time to do the page, I'll need to pull a piece of paper for here and then decide if I want the thin or the thick stripe. So this one will need some more paper pulled when it's time to execute. And next up, I've got the 2 pictures of the girls together, and Coco is a little younger here than here. So Coco's 3 now and Sophie's 5, and they're both full grown. But Coco's not as big as Sophie, and so Mom, she can't tell them apart. So she calls this one Jumpin' Jack because she does jump a lot, and she calls this one Biggie. Oh gosh, she knows their names, but she can't identify which one in the moment is which. So on this one, I'm thinking I'll do these cute little multicolored paw prints on the border or on the background, and then offset it with this teal dot. It's going to be cute. It shows 2 different papers here. I'll just have to see when I go to do the page if I want to do that or not. So when I was looking for the sketches, I went looking for a bunch of sketches. It's just like photos, you know, that's how I do it. I work in batches. Then next up we've got Coco, and we had pulled this stripe, this bold stripe from the Meow line, and I like it a lot. And then we have this little dot that'll go over on this side, and then in the middle we'll do this. Won't be the full sheet, obviously, but this will be the look. She's so cute. Puppies are hard work, but they're so adorable. And I don't think I've done that many layouts about her as a puppy. For one, she was constantly chasing Sophie, and so to find a picture of her looking still and pretty is very hard, because usually as a puppy, all of my pictures of her are a little black blur. And then next up, we've got my layout featuring Sophie, and we talked about the gingham on the bottom with the floral up top. And then we talked about the paw prints on top with the hearts underneath. And I've got it all pulled, and when I get ready to make the page, I'll kind of make a decision. And this will be the layout that I won't do a process video on, because I'm pretty much going to just mirror Virginia's design. This is another one where I'll mirror Virginia's design, and there probably won't be a process video. And the class is still for sale on the SCT website if you wanted. There are 8 layouts, 6 are single and 2 are double. And for this one, I pulled the brown. Got to give the brown its due for the bottom. And then for the top, we talked about this or this. And her design has the pictures going at the bottom. So that's kind of that. So circling back to where we started, we did not pull the purple. I've used that before. We did not pull the orange. We did not pull the dogs, the bones, the dots. So those are papers that you might see come into play when I need some accessory papers. I'm not sure, but I'm excited about kicking off this project, and pretty much when I wrap up this video I'm going to start the first layout. And so what's kind of crazy is that We leave for our trip in 2 sleeps, but I'm pretty much set on packing, and I thought it would be fun, or at least advantageous for me to have some of my November videos ready before I get back. And so I think the one that I'll start with is the one of them in the stroller with that says they're spoiled rotten. And as I said, that'll be premiering on November 10th as a Peartree design team layout. So I hope that you enjoyed seeing this behind the scenes planning and kind of how I, decide what goes where. And I hope that you'll enjoy seeing these pages come together, and I hope I can get them done quickly. I don't like to have a lot of pictures printed out and sitting around. I like to print and then do, print and then do. And it's just because when pictures sit out, they need to be taken care of. They need to be put somewhere and kept tidy, and I'm just always kind of a creating swirl in here. And so I print as I go, and that works really well for me because I can print specific to size, and I can adjust that even if needed. I've adjusted pictures. I think on that Remember When on the farm layout recently, I printed on one size and then adjusted them down. And then there were 2 other double sketches I pulled. I really liked these. They ended up not working out specifically for what I wanted to use right now, but maybe these will appear later. Okay, so I hope that you were able to play with some paper while I was playing with all of this paper. And thanks so much to all of my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber yet, I'd invite you to hit that button and join our community. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon with more layouts, videos, and a little stash busted magic. So please come back and crop with me. Until next time, happy scrapping, and remember, this is where paper meets story. Bye-bye.